Today we're going to start doing some bushing on our plate, on our Waterbury clock plate. I'll start off with the strike side. I'll get all these done on the bushing machine, and I'll do a couple on the other side, but I'll make sure that I leave 2 bushes to be redone. One that we can replace using a reamer in a pin vise, and the other one we'll replace just using a broach if you haven't got a set of reamers. So we'll look at the 3 different ways we can do it. We'll start off with the first wheel, this guy here. We've got that pivot there and that pivot there. Both needs new bushes. As we saw when we were looking at the individual wheels and bushings, they all needed to be done. So before we start with that, we'll look at the tools we're going to need. Obviously a set of reamers and hammers. The reamers are used to cut the holes in the plate. The hammers are used to push the bushing into the plate once it's been done. Once we've cut the hole in the plate to the right size, we're then going to need some of these broaches. A very efficient 5-sided cutting tool. They remove material very quickly, especially when it's brass. You have to keep an eye on what you're doing so you don't take too much metal out of the plate. A pin vise with a little jaw in each end that we can open and close to put the broaches in. As we'll see later on, we'll put a broach in like so, and then that's how we use it. We don't hold broaches in our hand, they're too hard to control. We use the collet inside a pin vise to do that. Pen and paper of some description to write our data down so we don't forget what we're doing, and a vernier for taking measurements. Alright, we're about ready to get underway now. I'll start off by taking these 2 screws out that I put in to hold the plates together so I could get an accurate reading on the condition of the holes. Take that apart. I have a little foam block that I've made so that I can insert the wheel in the correct orientation in it, so I know which pivot I'm working on. I always use the bottom one stuck in there like so. So that goes in to the bottom plate like so. When we get round to doing the top plate, the wheel goes in like that. Then the wheel sits in the foam block that way, and it's always the downside that I'm using. Alright, first thing we do, reset our vernier. We need to measure the thickness of the pivot. Which is 1.37 mil. So we'll put that into our block. We're ready to start. Jot that down, 1.37 mil. .37 mil. Over to our box of bushings, and then we start reading along the top line. We're looking for 1.37 mil, 1.25, 1.30, down there 1.40, so that's too large. We need the smaller size that we'll broach out so that the pivot would fit. So we need a number 46. So I'll get one of those out. Narrow pair of tweezers, a number 46. One of those. Put the top back on so we don't spill them. With each one of those that have to be remeasured and put back into its correct selection in the box. And that would be a horrible job to have to do. Okay, first thing we do before we start, we take our bushing, pick it up in a pair of tweezers, put it in our hand, like so, and then try to fit the pivot into it like so. We see it doesn't fit, so that means it's the right size for what we want. So we'll put that aside so we don't drop it or lose it somewhere. Then it's back to our box of bushings. We have a look, number 46. We see that the outside diameter is 3 millimeters. So we'll write that down. The bushing size is number 46 and the external diameter is 3 millimeters. I'll draw the wiggly line along there. And there's our data down there. Number 46, 1.37 millimeters is the diameter of the pivot, and 3 millimeters is the diameter of the hole that we need to drill to put the bushing in. Okay, over to our reamers. 3 mil. That's 2.97. That reamer is 2.97. That's the maximum size we need because we'll broach the hole out for it to fit properly. Now I've found over the years, instead of going straight for the final size of 2.97, you'll remove material more efficiently and more quickly if you start off with the reamer 2 sizes down, and that's 1.97 mil. Right, we'll start off with our center finding tool. We'll put that into the machine, loosen the grub screw, tighten it down. All right. Move our holders in and out so that we can get our center finding tool which we want that hole there we're working on. We'll align the center finding tool into the hole on the plate, and there it is. So now we'll see what we can do to tighten it down. Bring in both that one's not going to hold. Alright, we'll have to hold it. I'll have to support it while we're turning it to make sure it doesn't move.